Brainpower Factory. My name is Elena and today we'll learn about Greek mythology. We will learn two new words today. The first word is myth and the second word is ancient. So Crispy wants to go on a trip today, but of course he can't travel anywhere, so we will do an imaginary trip. Crispy wants to go to ancient Greece. But what does ancient mean? Ancient relates to something that happened earlier in history. For example, Crispy doesn't want to go to Greece in 2020, but long ago, even before the year 0. So let's have a look at our map and our timeline. Here you can see Greece. It is centered in Europe. And if you look at the timeline, 2020, that's the year we have this year. Here is the year 0. And when they wrote the Greek mythologies, it was even 3,000 years before the year 0. Hey Crispy, did you know that the ancient Greeks told a lot of stories about their gods? Well, those stories are called Greek mythology. Mythology comes from the word myth. A myth is a story that happened earlier in history, and it often involves supernatural beings. But Greek mythologies can also be seen as a legend, because the places where it actually happens, they really exist. If you would go to Greece, you can find those places. So, do you want to hear a story from the Greek mythologies? Then let's come with me, make yourself comfortable, and listen carefully. The story of Medusa and Athena. Once upon a time, a long time ago, there lived a beautiful maiden called Medusa. Medusa lived in the city of Athens in a country named Greece, and although there were many pretty girls in the city, Medusa was considered the most pretty. Unfortunately, Medusa was very proud of her beauty and thought or spoke of little else. Each day she boasted how pretty she was, and each day her boast became more outrageous. One Sunday, Medusa begged to the miller that her skin was more beautiful than fresh fallen snow. On Monday, she told the cobbler that her hair glowed brighter than the sun. On Tuesday, she commented to the blacksmith's son that her eyes were greener than the Aegean Sea. On Wednesday, she boasted to everyone at the public gardens that her lips were redder than the reddest roses. When she wasn't busy sharing her thoughts about her beauty with all who passed, Medusa would gaze lovely at her reflection in the mirror. She admired herself in her hand mirror for an hour each morning as she brushed her hair. She admired herself in her darkened window for an hour each evening as she got ready for bed. She even stopped to admire herself in the well each afternoon as she drew water for her father's horses. On and on, Medusa went about her beauty to anyone and everyone who stopped long enough to hear her. Until one day, when she made her first visit to the Pantheon with her friends. The Pantheon was the largest temple to the goddess Athena in all land. It was decorated with amazing sculptures and painting. Everyone who entered was awed by the beauty of the place and couldn't help to think of how grateful they were to Athena, goddess of wisdom, for inspiring them and for watching over the city Athens. Everyone except Medusa. When Medusa saw the sculptures, she whispered that she would have made them much better. When Medusa saw the artwork, she commented that the artist had done a fine job. But imagine how more wonderful the paintings would be if it was of someone as dedicated as Medusa. And when Medusa reached the altar, she sighed happily and said, "My, this is a beautiful temple. It is a shame it was wasted on Athena." Medusa's friends grew pale. Whispers ran through all the people in the temple, who quickly began to leave, for everyone knew that Athena enjoyed watching over the people of Athens and feared what might happen if the goddess had overheard Medusa's remarks. Before long, the temple was empty of everyone except Medusa, who was so busy gazing proudly at her reflection in the doors that she hadn't noticed the departure of everyone else. The image she was gazing at waved, and suddenly, instead of her own feature, it was the face of Athena that Medusa saw reflecting back at her. "Vain and foolish girl," Athena said angrily. "You think you are prettier than I am. I doubt it to be true. But even if it were, there is more to live than beauty alone. While others work and play and learn, you do little but boost and admire yourself." Medusa tried to point out that her beauty was an inspiration to those around her, and that she made their lives better by simply looking so lovely. But Athena silenced with a frustrated wave. "Nonsense," Athena retorted. "Beauty fades swiftly in all mortals. It does not comfort the sick, teach the unskilled, or feed the hungry. And by my powers, your loveliness shall be stripped away completely." And with those words, Medusa's face changed to that of an hideous monster. Her hair twisted and thickened into horrible snakes that hissed and fought each other's atop her head. "Medusa, for your pride, this has been done. Even you, Medusa, should you seek your reflection, shall turn to rock. Instead, you see your own face." And with that, Athena sent Medusa with her hair of snakes to live with the blind monsters at the end of earth, so that no innocence would be accidentally turned to stone at the sight of her. That was a good story, wasn't it? Below, you'll find this worksheet where you can write down the main characters and the setting. You also have some space to draw out the story in a cartoon style and write one sentence for each picture underneath. Afterwards, send me your work by email, and I'm looking forward to see what you've done. Goodbye, see you next time.